First and most importantly, Shohei Ohtani is officially back in the World Baseball Classic for Team Japan, the defending champs from a few years ago. He made the announcement official on Instagram. Second, and I think very important as well for some fans that looked quickly at his initial post, he is not retiring. When you post an image of yourself and thank you fans, it could get confusing, especially for people who do not like to read, and that is a large percentage of the social media population. So whoever put this together via post and is running Shohei's social media channel, you did give everyone or some people a good scare, and it helped actually with engagement and activity. And it went from normal viral KP with Shohei making this announcement to a little extra virality that I do not think was planned. I think someone was just putting together some really pretty pictures and they didn't know that it could appear as if Shohei was announcing something weird and not expected, like WBC.
Or did they? I feel like whatever Shohei touches kind of turns to gold. It wouldn't surprise me if this was by design because the obvious, the WBC post, great. Yeah, we knew he was going to play. Like, it's very great for the WBC to have its best players, and obviously players in other countries kind of salivate for the idea of playing for their country, hoping players from the United States, and they are starting to get better players. Paul Skeens, Bobby Witt Jr., Aaron Judge committing is great for what the WBC is. But the Dodgers post, yeah, on first glance, it looks like, is he retiring? Is he moving on? But I think everything Shohei does turns to gold, and it wouldn't surprise me if this was by design to get just the most insane reactions and engagement on, whatever social platforms he posted this on.
I mean, I might even use producer's lady's words here. Maybe Shohei knows what he's doing. Everybody, Shohei doesn't necessarily know, like, oh, I didn't know all the other stuff that was going on. And there's a little bit of, it's like, maybe he's naive. And so we don't think he actually trolls people. But producer lady pointed out that he kissed his dog when he won the MVP and not his wife, who was sitting right next to him. He trolled Lourdes Gurriel. And after the home run, when Lourdes put his hands up, like he did the exact troll. And maybe right now he's trolling fans, like maybe him and Teo were like sitting back and he's like, you know what, Teo, I've seen retirement posts. I'm going to make it look like I'm retiring and see if the fans like, he might like some sarcastic humor. So just it makes Shohei more endearing to me.
I agree. We love a little Shohei personality. So if he was behind this, then I stand corrected. And I thank you, Shohei, for bringing us a little spiciness to content that's usually pretty run of the mill. We know that you love your country and you love competition and that he was going to be participating in the World Baseball Classic. So we got it with a little extra sauce to it. Okay, will Shohei Ohtani be playing with Tatsuya Imai, who I think is the top free agent available coming over from Japan this offseason? Daisuke Matsuzaka asked him whether he wants to join a team like the Dodgers that can win the World Series or a team that tries to beat them. The reply from Imai, quote, I want to beat them if I'm being honest. Hey, let's go. More from Imai on wanting to beat the Dodgers and sign elsewhere. Of course, playing together with Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Roki Sasaki sounds like it could be fun, but winning the World Series by defeating a team like that is something I feel would truly have value in my life. The ultimate underdog story starring Tatsuya Imai. And I actually know, I see Kratz picking up his phone right now, and I know what the call is, KP, so I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to pretend. I promise you we didn't script this. I think that this is Tatsuya Imai's agent calling Tatsuya and saying, don't do that right now. You're kind of ruling out a team. No? Okay, all right, fine. I'll pick it up. Hello?
This is Buster Posey. Could I speak to Tatsuya Imai?
What's good? It's Imai, best hairstyle in the game, and I'm not even in the game yet.
We hate the Dodgers too, so an offer will be coming over shortly.
Okay, just make it really nice. Make it full of money, because my agent thinks that I'm kind of hurting my leverage with the Dodgers. Can you do that for me, Buster? No messing around. Oh wait, hold on. I'm going to make this a three-way call.
Hey, this is Andrew Friedman. Whatever Buster's offering, we have more. Bye.
Okay, well, Andrew. Oh, we lost Andrew. Buster, are you still there? Did you hear that?
I heard it, but you've been spending for years, and my previous GM didn't go past 1 year with anybody, so I have a ton of money in the chest, and the ownership loves me. I control this city. We'll take Imai. Thank you.
I love it. I want to see Tony Vitello with his intensity run through either a glass or brick wall. If you send me that video plus match the offer from Friedman, I'm in. Okay.
Buster hung up. He already said his last bit.
Done.
Some news came out yesterday that Shohei Ohtani will, in fact, take part in the upcoming World Baseball Classic and will be a part of Team Japan as they try to defend their title at next year's World Baseball Classic.
I wonder if he pitches. They didn't say what he's going to do. I think he just DHs.
Really?
They have so much depth in the pitching rotation that I don't think the Dodgers would chance him to pitch.
You know,
considering all the injuries and everything else.
Just the sense I get is that whatever Shohei Ohtani wants to do, Shohei Ohtani is going to do.
Yeah,
so
he gets to do.
I think that he...
Like, hey,
yeah, I think that he really wants to pitch. I think this moment right here, first of all, I think this moment right here took this event, this tournament, to a whole nother level.
No doubt.
And I cannot wait for next year's event.
I don't think he pitches.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he did not. But I guess that those are questions that will definitely be addressed.
I mean, he's had 2 arm injuries. I'm sorry, but he's got about $600 million left on that contract.
That's true. That's fair.
I know the WBC is a cool event. I love it. You love it. We all love it. Mm-hmm. But that ain't paying the bills, honey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I hear
Sorry.
you. Look, there's definitely, he is a prized commodity within that Dodgers organization. So
I can see him playing right field.
Boy, that will be interesting to see what that looks like. But just circling back, I love the momentum that the World Baseball Classic has had.
Yes.
And like I said, I think that moment a couple of years ago, Ohtani versus Trout with the game on the line, I think we're going to look back as that moment as kind of a touchstone of this event and this tournament.
Agree. Yeah, there's been moments. Adam Jones's catch in San Diego.
That's another signature
that stands
moment.
out. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at the first few, but that moment that you're talking about, Trout and Ohtani, and you look at the time we were in, they were the best 2 players on the planet.
Yeah.
And they were teammates.
Yeah.
Here in America. So they're facing each other, representing their countries, and that was an awesome.
What I want to talk about today is a pitcher that had some really interesting comments about the Dodgers, and that is Tatsuya Imai. Now, Tatsuya Imai, he's projected to make 6 years, $150 million. He was posted by the Cebu Lions. He's the best foreign pitcher in this year's class. This could be the biggest contract for any pitcher this offseason, potentially. We'll see. He had a 2.34 ERA last year. He had a 1.92 ERA in 163 and 2/3 innings this past season. And you look at his production. He's one of 6 NPB pitchers with at least 100 innings who's allowed fewer earned runs per 9. Imai ranked 2nd in NPB with 178 strikeouts, led the league with a 27.8% strikeout rate. He's Japan's top pitcher, and he's coming over. And anytime you hear Japanese pitcher, you immediately link him with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's always what's going to happen. This is a different scenario this time around, just because this time around, it looks like the Dodgers don't have that advantage, that the Dodgers don't and won't potentially get Tatsuya Imai, because he made some very interesting comments, and it is that he wants to take down the Dodgers, saying that I want to take them down. He's got his eyes set on wanting to beat the Dodgers. Interesting stuff, because you know that's respectable for a lot of different ways, but also it's, okay, do you really want to impact your market like that. If I was him, I would try to make it seem like I was going to sign with the Dodgers and hope that another team would have to overpay for me just to pry me away from them. But here was his exact quote. It was about the Dodgers. Of course, I'd enjoy playing alongside Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki. Ime told former Major League pitcher and two-time World Baseball Classic champion Daisuke Matsusaka. He was on his show, Hodo Nation. And we know Daisuke is great. I mean, Daisuke was one of those pioneers, too, that came over here to the show. But he'll go on to say, but winning against a team like that and becoming a world champion would be the most valuable thing in my life. If anything, I'd rather take them down. He would go on to say, if there were another Japanese player on the same team, I could just ask them about anything, right? But that's actually not what I'm looking for. In a way, I want to experience that sense of survival. When I come face to face with cultural differences, I want to see how I can overcome them on my own. That's a part of what I'm excited about. So that's him talking about the challenges of going to Major League Baseball. And clearly he wants to forge his own path, and he doesn't want to be in the shadow of Ohtani and Yamamoto and Sasaki. He's a talented pitcher. He really is. I mean, you look at the scouting report, he's been compared to Kodai Senga, the Mets starter who's on the trade block this offseason. He's got a fastball that can go mid-90s. NPB batters hit 189 against him. He was really good. He said, my best pitch is probably my fastball. The key is not aiming low. I'm always trying to throw it up in the zone, about to mask it for the catcher to set up normally. But this is a guy that maybe he was a sleeper. Maybe he was someone just because of his ties. You would say, oh, he's going to be a Dodger. Just get it over with already. But clearly that's not going to be the case. And this could be the first off season where you get two big Japanese players in Murakami and Imai, and both of them are not going to be Dodgers. So, look, this will be interesting when they match up with each other. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up going. If you look at some of the projections, they have had 6 years, $150 million, and he's linked to teams like the Cubs, the Mets. But there were some in the industry that thought that the Dodgers did have the chance to potentially sneak in here and just get him because of who they are. But you look at the Dodgers rotation, if everyone's healthy, Yamamoto, he can win a Cy Young next year. Glass now, he's nasty when healthy. Blake Snell can win another Cy Young next year if he stays on the mound. Shohei Ohtani, when he's right, he's as good as it gets. And then the big question for the rotation is, does Roki Sasaki establish himself as a legitimate bona fide starting pitcher in Major League Baseball? Or will he get off to a slow start and then you'll hear people saying, oh, he should be in the bullpen? So that's going to be interesting. And then there's the biggest wild card of them all. That is, do the Dodgers get involved with Detroit Tigers ace Tarik Skubal? Because if you go out there and you trade for Tarik Skubal, you're not going to feel like you missed out on Tatsuya Imai. And I have seen a lot of Dodgers fans kind of treat the rotation as the afterthought, saying that there's not a need there. I push back on that wholeheartedly. I could not disagree more. I'm actually shocked that Dodgers fans are like, oh, we're good. We're totally fine for the rotation, as if they didn't have issues in 2024, as if Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow didn't miss significant time, as if Yoshinobu Yamamoto didn't pitch almost 180 innings and lead them in the World Series, as if Shohei Ohtani is not coming off a second Tommy John surgery, as if Roki Sasaki hasn't established himself in the show. For any Dodgers fan that thinks that the rotation is fine, I don't know what Dodgers team you've been watching for the last couple of years, because certainly if they stay healthy, yeah, for sure they're fine. But that's if with a capital I and a capital F. There's no guarantees that any rotation in Major League Baseball is going to stay healthy, let alone guys that have pitched a lot, coming off injuries, pitched deep into the postseason. I look at 2024. What happened in 2024? You leaned on 2.5 starters and a bullpen that was forced to cover 60+% of the outs in the postseason, right? What happened to that bullpen the next year? Blake Treinen wasn't the same. Evan Phillips wasn't the same, had Tommy John surgery. Michael Kopech wasn't the same. They paid the bill for the bullpen during the regular season and in the postseason. And who knows, that could be the case for the rotation. So I'm just here to drop truth bombs. I'm here to push back on lazy narratives. And I'm here to tell you that certainly they could be in the need for another starting pitcher. I'm trying to cash in on some of those trade chips to go out there and get another outfielder, like maybe a Byron Buxton. The issue I've kind of heard from Byron Buxton is he kind of wants to fit in some DH at some point, and you'd have to play him in the outfield essentially the entire time, so that's something to consider as well. But if you can get Tarek Skubal this offseason, I'm doing it. I'm picking him up at the airport. Like I said, if the Dodgers trade for Tarek Skubal and I have a son, his name will be Tarek Patrick McCain Skubal III. That's what he's going to be known as. So, yeah, this is interesting. By the way, for Imai, I'm sure he's endearing himself to the rest of Major League Baseball. All 29 other fan bases probably love this guy. And I will say, long-haired pitcher who wants to be the Dodgers kind of feels like a San Francisco Giant. Kind of feels like a San Francisco Giant. But wouldn't it be funny at the end of the day, after all that, after him saying all this stuff, that he just signs with the Dodgers anyway? I mean, that would just be amazing. It would make Major League Baseball very unhappy. My prediction, it kind of feels like the Cubs or the Mets, depending on, I think it'd be a perfect fit for the Giants if he's going to talk that talk. The Red Sox, that's another team. But yeah, hey, I don't know. If I'm him, I would try to, I think that's more of, there's probably not a lot of, maybe the Dodgers aren't being aggressive towards pursuing him. And this is his way of like, hey, I didn't want to be on the Dodgers anyway. I mean, you didn't invite me to the party. I don't want to go to your party anyway. You didn't invite me. It's a bad party. I'll go to another party, right? So that's probably the case there. All right, let's get some comments. We've got BC definitely going back-to-back MVPs. We looking at D-Max Pat. I'm actually in Florida, in Orlando, visiting my dad and some family down here. My family down here, my dad and his wife, they live out in Florida these days. I got family near Miami, Fort Lauderdale area down there, my wife's side. So I'm in from LA to FLA this week. So yeah, this is a room here. And hopefully the quality is okay. Hopefully I'm coming in right sound-wise. So look, a lot of people take off this week. Not me, not us. You guys, we need to talk Dodger baseball in LA sports. So, sunscreen, bro. Who do you think he will personally go to, D-Mac? Like I said, I think it's the Cubs. I think it's the Mets, Red Sox, Giants, if he's going to pop off like that a little bit. So that's interesting. I'm surprised he would say that.
The Los Angeles Dodgers, they're the juggernaut. They're the bad guy. They are going out and getting every Japanese player to form a super team of Samurai Japan on the west coast of America. But guess what? Not every Japanese player wants to join. If you can't join them, beat them. And that's what Tatsuya Imai is saying. And my overreaction is that Tatsuya Imai is not the hero we deserve, but he is the one we need. A story came out earlier this week that the Japanese starting pitcher, one of the top available arms on the market this winter, said, quote, about the Dodgers, I want to take them down. I think beating a team like that and becoming world champions would be the most valuable thing in my life. Now, whenever something like this happens, Jordan, and we get a player in Japan, we talked about this with Yuri last week. We get a player in Japan given a quote about where they want or don't want to play. It's hard to like timestamp that quote, and it's difficult to like understand the totality of the quote because you and I don't what?
Speak Japanese.
Speak Japanese, correct. We don't speak Japanese. However, there is an article on MLB.com written by friend of the program, Michael Clare, and friend of the program, Ayako Oikawa, that has it all laid out for us. And boy, does this make me like Tatsuya Imai.
You're not giving this enough credit because this is not just a story coming out. The context here is crucial. This is a conversation that Imai was having with fellow Seibu Lions icon, Daisuke Matsuzaka, who knows a little something about pitching in Major League Baseball, and coming from NPB to MLB with much fanfare. And this was just a very conversation that, again, was translated in many different places, but I think that is important too, including by Yuri, which you can go look on his, of course, on his account, Yaku Cosmo. If you haven't listened to our conversation with Yuri last week, with way more Imai stuff, which was honestly helpful. We asked about Imai's personality and just like the kind of dude that we think he's going to want to be once he gets here, and how we've gotten to know these Japanese players from a personality standpoint in a very interesting way over the past few seasons. And the quotes in here about him basically being like, not just I want to beat the Dodgers, saying, of course, it would be cool to play with Ohtani and so on, but beating them would be even more special. He also has some very interesting quotes about, okay, do you want to be, not just do you want to be on the Dodgers, the best team, with all these other Japanese players, but on the concept of playing with other Japanese players. This is another thing that I think culturally we're left to trust those who know the language and who understand the background of these individuals about whether players coming over from Japan would prefer to be with other Japanese players or not, because we've gotten varying reports on and I'm sure it's case by case. Clearly, I think we've learned that it is not.
Yeah.
It is not a one size fits all situation, and there is not one thing that determines whether they let you. But Imai, the quote here again, I'm pulling from Yuri's translation. Since they went to the U.S. before me, I could, if this is on the concept of if he was playing with more Japanese players in MLB. Quote, since they went to the U.S. before me, I could ask them questions like, what did you do in the situation, right? But actually, I don't really desire that. I want to have a sense of survival on my own. There are going to be cultural differences, but part of what excites me is how I'm going to figure out a way to get over these hurdles on my own. So, do we take that to mean there is a 0% chance he is signing with the Dodgers or the Cubs? Or who else has a Japanese player right now? The Red Sox. Yoshida's, he's still on the Red Sox. The Mets is saying still on the Mets. Who knows? The Angels with Kikuchi, right? Like, okay, does that mean there's 0% chance he's signing with those teams? No. Let's not go overboard. But it's a compelling piece of evidence that if the situation is right, he might prefer to kind of go out on his own. Now, let's be clear. What is going to matter in this, as it does in any free agency, who's going to show up with the big check?
Money.
You know, and that's good, as it should, right? He's a Scott Boras client. You know, money's going to talk here. But regardless, I think that this is a nice preamble to a nice setting the stage for what we like to think that he prefers, not from some vague report from someone that knows Imai. Like, this is him saying it to Daisuke Matsuzaka on television. I think we can take that for something.
Next week, a week and a half from now, next week, you and I are going to be in the Dominican Republic, okay? And you know what we're not going to do down there? We're not going to eat at Applebee's, all right? We're not going to Chili's, right? We're going to go and we're going to experience the realness as much as we possibly can. And that is what I like the most about what Imai is saying, where it's like, could I be comfortable? Sure. But that's not why I'm doing this in a way. Like, he's not coming to the States so that he's not leaving Japan so that he can hang out with more Japanese players, right? Like, he wants to push himself beyond. Now, let me be clear. Us choosing to not eat at Applebee's in Santo Domingo does not raise to the level of Tatsuya Imai playing for the Reds or something. However, I think you get my absurd point. And this, I will say, this excites me. Like, this is the type of quote that I want to hear. And I will say this. He leaves the door open a little bit. Of course, I'd enjoy playing alongside Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki. If he ends up with the Dodgers after delivering this quote, is honestly going to hit even better. Like, he is by offering this statement, he has only raised the stakes of his free agency in a way that both outcomes are more compelling to me, right? If he goes full evil and just joins the juggernaut and is like the 6th starter or whatever, like
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Well, right.
And if he
right.
goes
And
to the if he goes to the Diamondbacks, and like that's also great.
yeah. And obviously there's some like in betweens, right? Like if he goes to the Padres because he wants to beat the Dodgers, but he gets to hang out with you, Darvish. It's like, okay, well, what do I do with that? You know, you get a little bit of both. And Yuki
Sure.
Matsui, sorry. I don't want to forget about him.
Yeah, please.
But
But the last thing I'll say,
also
last thing I'll say, it is easy for him to say this relatively also because he's probably not going to the Dodgers because they're probably not signing a starting pitcher, right?
yeah,
And
probably not.
if the Dodgers didn't have Tyler Glasnow and were in the Tatsuya Imai sweepstakes, I don't think Scott Boras would like his client going out on television in Japan and saying, "Oh, the team that gives out more money than any other team, I'm not particularly interested in playing for them."
Yes, yes. But this is obviously the easiest layup for Yankees fans who are like, we've been trying to chase down another Japanese star for a while now, and that has not happened yet. Is that a Yankees priority right now? Who's to say? We will find out. But that is certainly what that smelled of. And the last thing I would say about this, regardless of some of the things involving whether he wants to play with Japanese players or the cultural difference, I do think that the element of the Dodgers having won again, I've thought about this a lot, not just as it relates to Japanese players, but like, will players want to keep joining the team that keeps winning? I think that generally, yes, they just want the most money and to win. So if it happens to be the Dodgers, then great. But I do wonder if it does add the element of like, I want to be the guy to take him down, which obviously no individual player is capable of doing regardless. But I do wonder if the fact that they just won again strengthens it a little bit more than, say, a year ago, where it's like, okay, yeah, they won once and I want to go join them. But it's not the same thing of like, oh, this is the team. This is the standard above everybody else. They just went back to back for the first time in decades. Like, again, it's not the most important thing in free agency. I recognize that. But in terms of how players are talking about the Dodgers from the outside, I do wonder if that adds to it.
I think it depends on the type of player. Where like if you're a late in your career player without a ring, you would rather go take a little less from the Dodgers, like Kirby Yates type, right? Where it's like you're a veteran reliever and you're looking for a ring and you go to the Dodgers. I don't think it really moves the needle for a guy like Kyle Tucker. If the Dodgers pay him the most money, he'd go to the Dodgers. If another team does, he would go there. And then when he goes to the other team, he'll say, looking to knock off the Dodgers. And if he goes to the Dodgers, he's saying, looking to never lose a World Series. Like, it's just, to me, that narrative comes in at the end rather than during the process.